Welcome back to the Paranormal State, Washington, and UFO UAP. With Makāula Nakae, a lifelong experiencer and ET contactee since 1990. Today's episode, 07 Richland Sighting, July 4th, 1947. The Atomic-UFO Nexus. The summer of 1947 stands as the definitive watershed moment in modern ufology, ignited not by a single isolated event, but by a relentless, geographically compressed chain reaction of high strangeness across the Pacific Northwest. In less than 2 weeks, a trio of explosive, heavily documented encounters erupted across Washington state, beginning with the bizarre Maury Island incident on June 21st, followed just 3 days later by Kenneth Arnold's historic sighting near Mount Rainier on June 24th, and culminating on July 4th over the atomic heartbeat of the Columbia Basin with the Richland sighting. When examined as an interconnected operational matrix, these 3 consecutive Washington state events reveal a chilling and unmistakable reality. An external, non-human intelligence was systematically tracking the birth of the American nuclear age, zeroing in on the production, enrichment, and transportation corridor of weapons-grade plutonium. The wave began in the waters of Puget Sound near Tacoma, setting an ominous high-security tone for the entire summer. Harold Dahl and his crew reported a formation of donut-shaped metallic craft hovering low over the water, one of which seemingly malfunctioned or dropped heavy, slag-like debris that damaged their boat and injured a crew member. The incident immediately drew the attention of military intelligence. 2 Army Air Forces investigators, Captain William Davidson and Lieutenant Frank Brown, flew in from Hamilton Field to interview the witnesses. Tragically, on their return flight, their B-25 bomber crashed in flames under mysterious circumstances, marking the first covert fatalities of the modern UFO era and establishing an immediate pattern of military suppression. Just 72 hours after Maury Island, private pilot Kenneth Arnold experienced the sighting that permanently entered the global lexicon. Flying his Call Air aircraft near Mount Rainier, Arnold watched a chain of 9 blindingly bright, crescent-shaped objects streak across the atmosphere at an estimated 1,200 miles per hour, skipping like a saucer across water. While public media focused on the flying saucer description, military intelligence quietly noted the flight path. Arnold's objects were moving along a trajectory that bridged the volcanic crests of the Cascade Range with the secret industrial interior of eastern Washington, directly pointing toward the atomic heartland. 10 days after Arnold's sighting, the wave reached its logical and chilling destination, the residential and administrative hub of the Hanford Engineer Works in Richland, Washington. Richland, the Hanford infrastructure, and the plutonium pipeline. Situated in the heart of southeastern Washington, Richland was no ordinary post-war municipality. In June and July of 1947, it served as the secret residential and administrative support hub for the Hanford site, a premier cornerstone of the top-secret Manhattan Project. Hanford was responsible for mass-producing the weapons-grade plutonium, utilized in both the historic Trinity test in New Mexico July 16, 1945, and the Fat Man bomb dropped on Nagasaki, August 9, 1945. The plutonium nitrate manufactured, separated, and refined at Hanford was securely transported via classified routes to the primary design and assembly laboratory of the Manhattan Project at Los Alamos, New Mexico, where it was processed directly into the core components for history's first atomic detonations. By 1947, as jurisdiction over the site shifted to the newly formed Atomic Energy Commission, AEC, plutonium production at Hanford experienced a brief post-war restructuring period before scaling up massively to fuel the burgeoning Cold War nuclear stockpile. Refined materials and components produced during this era were continuously integrated into the expanding U.S. nuclear arsenal, supplied to military research facilities, and routed to emerging storage and assembly depots across the national security network. Because of Hanford's paramount national security status, the skies above Richland, the Columbia Plateau, and the surrounding Yakima Corridor were among the most strictly guarded airspaces in the world, monitored by anti-aircraft batteries and interceptor squadrons. Intriguingly, historical records show that military personnel and radar operators had already been tracking anomalous blips and unexplained aerial lights drifting silently over Hanford's production zones years before the 1947 public wave, hinting that non-human intelligence was monitoring humanity's entry into the atomic age from its very inception. The skies above the Tri-Cities were a crucible for close encounters long before the summer of '47, but Independence Day brought the tension to a boiling point. On July 4, 1947, while local Richland residents, such as the Nordman family, were celebrating the holiday and setting off fireworks, witnesses looked up to witness a bright, spinning flying disc tumbling silently through the atmosphere. Within days, entire neighborhoods across the Hanford worker community reported similar metallic discs darting over the desert. Local residents and workers reported witnessing bright, highly reflective disc-shaped objects moving at extraordinary speeds, performing coordinated maneuvers that defied the limits of contemporary post. World War II aviation. The 1947 wave was preceded by earlier incursions. In January 1945, military radar blips and Navy F-6F Hellcat pilots, flying out of nearby Pasco, chased mysterious, glowing red-orange fireballs that aggressively buzzed Hanford's plutonium production reactors before accelerating away at impossible speeds. Declassified memos from Manhattan Project commanders at Hanford, including Colonel Franklin Matthias, reveal a frantic internal struggle to track unidentified lights, stray radar targets, and foreign airborne threats, such as Japanese fire balloon bombs that periodically disrupted regional power grids. Geographically, Richland sits roughly 110 miles east of Mount Adams and 140 miles southeast of Mount Rainier, creating a direct atmospheric and visual highway across Washington state. When witnesses in Richland watched anomalous objects streaking across the sky toward the Cascade Range, they were looking along a precise geographic vector, connecting the atomic heartland of the Columbia Basin to the towering volcanic peaks of the Cascades. This alignment reinforces a profound historical pattern: the concentration of UAPs directly bridging top-secret nuclear infrastructure and high-strangeness tectonic corridors. As local newspapers and radio stations quickly picked up the Richland reports, the story merged with the national consciousness. Occurring in rapid succession with Kenneth Arnold's sighting and immediately preceding the Roswell crash of early July 1947, the Richland event catalyzed several historic reactions. The sighting encouraged local residents and aviation personnel to step forward, breaking the social stigma of reporting the unexplained and swelling the nationwide wave of over 800 documented sightings that summer. Facing an overwhelming surge of credible civilian and military reports across the Pacific Northwest and the Southwest, the U.S. military launched formal intelligence inquiries. Encounters like those in Richland and Yakima directly pressured the Air Materiel Command to establish Project Sign in late 1947, the U.S. government's very first official program dedicated to systematically investigating unidentified flying objects. The historical convergence of atomic energy, strict military secrecy, and high-altitude airspace made southeastern Washington a permanent fixture in regional anomalous lore. As Hanford transitioned from World War II production to churning out thousands of nuclear cores for the Cold War arsenal, military pilots stationed at regional installations continuously logged encounters with silent, luminous craft shadowing sensitive defense corridors. Ufologists and independent researchers frequently connect the high concentration of sightings around Hanford, the Cascade Mountain passes, and nearby strategic installations like Fairchild Air Force Base near Spokane to a persistent pattern: anomalous craft closely tracking America's nuclear infrastructure. Much like the legend surrounding Mel's Hole near Ellensburg, or secret underground tunnels rumored beneath regional military sites, the local culture of the Tri-Cities remains deeply intertwined with Cold War paranoia and modern speculative mythos. The immense psychological weight of living next door to the world's largest nuclear cleanup site has fostered a lasting local subculture of UFO research, oral history preservation, and paranormal investigation. From the slag-dropping craft of Puget Sound to the hypersonic discs over Mount Rainier and the atomic core of Richland, the Pacific Northwest wave of 1947 proved that the dawn of the nuclear age and the presence of uninvited celestial watchers were locked together in an unbreakable, permanent embrace. From the pioneering sightings of Richland residents in the summer of 1947 to contemporary congressional hearings on unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, the atomic frontier of southeastern Washington remains permanently linked to the mystery of the skies. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archived Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact and the Paranormal State. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archived Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact and the Paranormal State. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute exploration into the evolution of ufology, perfect for your daily plunge into decoding hidden messages from outer space, designed to raise awareness and foster human evolution. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's episode.